Hello, welcome to my school accounting software. This is part three. My name is Ivan Zuko. I am the business development manager for Smart Drive and Systems Limited. We're located in Lagos, Nigeria. We produce software 100% here in Nigeria. We provide support also in Nigeria. We grow local capacity in software development here in Nigeria. So we want to quickly look at part three of my school accounting software. If you haven't watched my school accounting software part one, please go through part one, go through part two, and this will be the part three in the series of this training and tutorial. Okay. Okay, so today we're going to look at invoice, see how you can generate invoice, how you can apply an item to an invoice for a particular student, how you can apply for a discount item, how you can create and apply discount items, how you can actually modify invoice and view and print invoice for a particular student. Okay. And then we will also see how we can receive payment. Once invoice is created, you can then receive payment. Like I said, this software can be used in tertiary institution, it can be used in senior secondary, junior secondary, it can be used in colleges, it can also be used in polytechnics. Okay, any institution, school institution, you can use this software, to generate invoices and collect money and manage debt and manage outstanding payment. Okay, that's what it's meant for. It is not a school portal for exams. It is basically, we're basically looking at how to do fee collection for institutions and schools. Okay, anywhere in the world. Okay, so we see how you manage debt here, generate and manage debt for each of the students, okay, or class. And then once you generate all your invoice, you probably would predict what the system will predict what the school income projection would be for a session, for a term. So this again goes into school planning for the year. If you have 200 students, depending on the class they are, and you generate all the invoice, and you know that maybe for this year, for the whole total session, the school will be able to generate 23 million naira, depending on the population of the student and the classes. That the system will also give you a breakdown in each of the term that what you're going to realize, and will further break down for you in terms of mandatory fees and the ones that are not mandatory fee. You can only bank on mandatory fees, okay, items that are mandatory. Let's then hop into the system and finish this part three very quickly. So what I want to do now is to be able to log into the system so that you don't say, how did you get here? So I log out. Um, Let me log into the system. Okay, so I just logged into the system. Let me make it a little bit wider. We have handled part one and part two. We want to basically look at invoice. Remember, we have two students we created in SS2, and there are another two or three students we created whose invoice, people that just joined, the invoice has not been generated. We're going to see how we're going to do that. But let's do a bottoms up here. Let's start with even viewing and printing invoices. Okay, so this is a screen for printing an invoice, viewing an invoice for students. If you pick an academic section, you then can pick a school, and then you look for a student in that school. Okay, all that what we pick is to make sure that we reduce the number of searches, the population of searches, people that comes out. So this will be sliced in terms of session, it will be sliced in terms of school already, so you then have a few people. All right, so we have Miriam and Usman here. Let's view Usman the template. Okay, Usman, and then we pick his template, pick the template that is attached to him. Then you see the student information here. Mokhtar Marianne is in SS2 first term. The class teacher is Aisha Abubakar, and then these are the things he's supposed to pay. The school fee schedule for SS2 in which he is in that class. Okay, so here you see that there are optional items. Let me make this a little bit bigger for the purposes of this discussion. Okay, so uh, you now have these are all the fee items in the schedule. Okay, blazer, games wear, library. Some are optional. Two items are optional. School bus is optional, so the parents may pay for school bus and may not pay. He may also pay for blazer. He may not pay because they are optional items. But what he needs to pay are the mandatory items. Okay, but when you look at what the fee schedule for first term in SS2, it amount to 215,000 naira. And now for this particular student, there's scholarship that he's entitled to. So he has a full scholarship worth of 100,000 naira. Okay, and then he also has a scholarship for school books worth 5,000 naira. Now notice that the tuition fee here for him is 150,000, but he has a scholarship of 100,000. The system manages that, all right? And he also has the book, the textbook for this academic session is 8,000, but he has a scholarship of 5,000. So the balance is what the system will calculate for the parent to pay. Okay. So when you look at the summary down here, the summary account for first term, he's supposed to pay 215,000 naira. But if you see all these things that are added to him as discount here is 105,000 naira. So the parent will now have for this first term, what the parent is supposed to pay is 110,000 naira. Okay. Let's walk them through the system. For instance, if this same student is also entitled to another discount of, say, maybe he's the best student, is on the best student honor roll for this class, and the honor roll attracts maybe 10% of tuition fee. Let's see how you can actually go and apply that in the system, okay, for him. This has already been done, but we want to see how we can modify this invoice, okay? Apply discount for him. So the next thing we want to do now is to see how we can apply discount. So when we go to apply for discount, um, so for senior secondary, and we look at his name, so when we pick the template, you see that there are only two scholarships that is available. So we now have a problem. How do we go and apply the third scholarship for him? Because from SS1 going to SS2, he was the best student and is on the honor roll. The school gives 10% discount for tuition just to encourage them. So how do we add that to him? All right. So we then have to go to, you need to go to part 2 that we talk about how you can define a discount item. Please watch the video, my school accounting software part 2. All right. So in part 2 here, we have talked about discount item, how to define discount. So we come here, we want to define that discount so that we can go and apply for him. All right. So we go to his class, pick the session, pick SS2, and it's for first term. And then we can now pick 10% tuition discount. I typed this before, that's why it's appearing. And that will be 15,000 naira of 150. The tuition fee is 150,000 naira. So you will have 15% discount. Sorry, 10% discount, which is 15,000 naira. And we add that. So this is available now for SS2 people. All right. So if you are in the honors roll, you then have 15,000 naira. Okay. So let's then go and apply. Let's move to part 3 now. I want to go and apply that to Marianne. Okay. So we can now come here. Now there are 2 levels of approval here. I'm already using administrator account. The account clerk would not have access to all this. All that he needs to do is to apply for the school manager. Who may be a principal, or maybe the boss of the school, whoever that has authority to approve this will go to him for approval. Let me quickly demonstrate that. Okay, so let me log out and log in as a clerk, account clerk. Okay. Okay. So as account clerk here, you see he cannot approve. You see approval here, he doesn't have access to approve. If you check the menu here, account menu. So those who work in account department, they can apply. So we want to apply now to the school manager, the principal to approve, because it must be to the knowledge of the principal before this apply to the student. Okay. So I want to go and raise the request and send to the principal. So I pick his name, Marianne Mokhtar. Okay, so there's a 10% discount now, which is 15,000 naira for this student. Look at it here, and I then say apply. Okay, I've applied to him now, but he's not going to get it until the principal approve. All right. So you can also have an option here. If you did it mistakenly, you can select it here as a remove. Okay, so that will be removed from his profile. Okay, but you can apply and say apply. Okay, so when you finish, you now say, look at it here, send for approval. I send this for approval, and that has gone to the principal. Okay, or whoever in the school that has authority. Let's then log in as somebody who manages the account, who has as a supervisor account. Okay, and see how that can be. This will be enabled for approval. Now, if we check his profile now, if he try to apply that item, he's not still going to be able to add this to his apply that discount for him. So let's see if he can add it now. It has not been approved yet. Let's try that. Okay, senior school. We go and then pick his name again. Pick. So this is what he can do and send for approval. Okay, sorry, I'm just repeating what I did before. Um, so he applied for discount. Okay, so the principal can't even do that. Can't even apply it to his profile. All right, until the principal approves. So let's go and log in as a principal or log in as a supervisor. Principal in the system is recognized at the level of a supervisor. What account is supervisor again? Let me try this. Okay, see these staffs only. So you see a lot of things is greater as staff. Let me use admin account to do because admin too can do. Okay, so I have a supervisor account here. So this is what supervisor can do. Supervisor also cannot create and do and approve, okay? So he has to come here to approve. So once it comes to approval here, clicks on approval, he will see that one student is waiting for approval here. Then he will pick academic section. He pick a term, first term. He will see that one student is already waiting here. And that's the only student here. All right. So he will come and put his signature here. He can reject it. He can also approve it. So he say yes. So you can now say approved for implementation. Okay. And then he say endorse the confirmation. Confirmation was successfully endorsed. So when we go back now, you see the item that was 0, that was 1 here waiting for approval has been approved. So this is how the principal of the school management has to have the right to actually approve uh, uh, a discount item before the account department can use it. So let's now go and see how we can apply that to his profile. Add that to his profile. Okay, to Mariam's profile. Let's log out now. So if we view his let's go and view and see if that is applied on his invoice now. Before we had only 2 items for him. So when you check here now, it's automatically applied. It doesn't even need bursary department to do anything again. Once the principal approved it, it comes in here. You see before this is the fee schedule that he's supposed to pay, all right, 215,000. But he has a scholarship for this particular term. This is only applied to this term of 120,000 because he now have 15,000 naira tuition fee. Was the best student coming from SS1 to SS2. Again, that again has brought down what the parent is supposed to pay. They will now pay a balance of 95,000 naira. So then you can now print this, okay, and send to an email to the parent. So we're going to print this now. So this is downloaded into a PDF, and I want to share that on the screen. Okay, so you now have what you can now print, okay? So this is the name of the student, the name of the school, supposedly, okay? And then this is the fee, the name of the child, and then you see this is a schedule. So the parent know this is a schedule for SS2. It's for everybody. These are optional items. These are mandatory items, okay? And then the child had 3 scholarships here, which are all treated as discount item in the statement, okay? And then this is what is supposed to pay. This is a total discount, and the parent will now go for the term. If he was owing SS1, okay, that again, the total fee for SS1, if he was owing, the system will, do a grand total and bring it up here. All the school need to do is to stamp this, and this is page 2 of 2, okay? So this is a continuation of this page, and of course you have the report generated for my school accounting powered by this, okay? So in page 2 of 2 here, and then the school take a stamp, the bursary department just stamp this and sign, and then email this to the parents. Remember in part 1, we've shown you how parents you can actually enter guardians and parents information in the system so that this can be used to actually email and communicate with their parents at home. Okay, you can send an email of this schedule for each of the child. Okay, to the parent, to the father. Okay, so that's what I wanted to demonstrate about invoice. So you can see how invoice is being treated and how invoice is being handled. Then we can talk about other operation of the invoice. That's why I say we're going to do a bottoms up. Okay. So we've actually deal with invoice. Now you can actually we've deal with apply discount, okay, and approve discount. Okay. So the next thing we want to talk about is invoice modification. If there were things that we're supposed to add to the invoice that we forgot to add, okay, item that we're supposed to add, then we did not add, so we can now pick this item, senior secondary. Let's still pick the student, pick his name, pick the session. These are all the things. Okay, so we can now look back at the invoice here. You see there are some items, maybe it's here, it's not supposed to, it's not here. There were new items we added like development fee, late fee payment is not here. Now we need to go and regenerate this invoice so that those items will appear here, and then we can actually include them or exclude them, okay? But here, you can actually remove things from this invoice. For instance, now, if I said the parent by the time we receive the school fee, okay, for these items that are already generated. For instance, now, by the time the school fee, we notice that the father did not pay for the optional item, maybe blazer, okay? So we can actually exclude blazer. Blazer is 5,000 naira, we say exclude. When you exclude now, notice it's 215 is supposed to pay. The money will go down to 210. If you regenerate this invoice now, it's going to show that it's 210 is supposed to pay because he hasn't paid for blazer. Blazer is removed here. Okay, so it's saying here. If you did that by mistake, you can come back here and add it, okay, to the invoice. So we can include it back again. Okay, let's remove the two items and go and check what the invoice for this Mokhtar will look like. Okay, let's say we remove blazer, which is an optional item. The father didn't pay for that when we received the item. These are all the operations that can be done in the account department. And maybe he didn't pay for another, what was optional again? School bus. He didn't pay for school bus, okay, which is 15,000 naira. We can exclude that. So what he's supposed to pay is 195,000, okay? Now let's go and regenerate the invoice. So you go to print invoice again because we've done invoice modification now, okay? And then you come here and then pick the senior school. Let's go for that particular student. You know that the nature of the invoice now will change because we've actually modified his invoice. What he's supposed to pay now is going to be less than what he's supposed to pay. You see, all the optional items have been removed. Now it's 195,000. His bank with a scholarship of 120,000, and then the father will now pay 75,000. So this invoice automatically been modified. This is how you can modify an invoice. Okay, you can modify an invoice. Okay, so the next thing we want to talk about, remember I said we are doing bottoms up, we're going up, okay? We can actually add an item to an invoice. Before you add an item to an invoice, you need to generate that invoice again. So here, list, the first thing you can do here is to add a product item to everyone in the class. If you want to pick a particular product, add to everyone in the class, or you can add one product item to a particular student, okay? So let's regenerate the invoice for SS2. All right, so that we'll have all the items. Now let me show you. If you try to do that, you notice that some new items are not here. So if I pick 2000 and okay, SS2, and then you look at the template, these are all the mandatory things that is supposed to pay. All right, so you can generate this again for SS2. You can add this. You can pick if any of the items that were not here that are here, mandatory items that are not here, games wear, library fee, PTA levy. You notice PTA, okay, so they are here already. Okay, so you can actually add that and to an invoice item. So it will appear as an item in the invoice. You can also do that for a specific child. When you do this, it apply to the whole of SS2. All right, and then if you don't want to apply to everybody in SS2, you just want to apply to a specific child, you can come here, and these are all the mandatory things that are supposed to pay. You can pick the child's name here, okay, and then you can pick Miriam here, and you pick one of these items that was not stated before and apply to him. All right. So once you apply that, you will be able to come here and say that this has already been added to him, so we don't need to do it a second time again. All right. And then you can pick an item here and say add that to student invoice. It will appear in the invoice. If you have 10 items before, this is where you can actually add additional item. Okay. To an invoice. All right. So what have we not talked about? Okay, generate an invoice. Okay, this is where you can generate an invoice for. You can actually generate for a particular student. There are some students we brought on board. They are not here. Notice Kunle is not here, so we can do invoice when we are doing invoice. Invoice has not been created for Kunle, all right, because they just joined the school. If you watch part 1, I just added them in part 1. Okay, so Kunle Abraham, I can see you should create an invoice for him. So invoice was successfully created. I can view the invoice. So let's go and view the invoice now for Kunle. we didn't have in SS2 again. So let's go to view invoice. You notice now that we before there were Miriam and Usman. Now invoice have been generated for Kunle. Okay, it's in SS2 now. So this is his own invoice now, 215. He hasn't paid anything. All right, and then we can say print invoice. So the invoice is been downloaded to a PDF, and we can then send this invoice to the parent. Okay, so this is his invoice. It doesn't have any discount, so he's going to pay this amount. All that the school need to do is to print this, stamp this, and email to the parents. Okay, let's quickly then wrap up by talking about. Let's then talk about receive payment. Now, if I want to receive payment, which is quite easy, we can then say receive payment. Maybe for Kunle, that is a new person now that we just generated invoice for him. We can type Kunle the first 3 letter, and then maybe the father paid 180,000. That's what he was able to pay, and we received 180,000. So this is what he's supposed to pay. He doesn't have any scholarship. You now come here and pick the date of today, 2nd of March. Remember, I told you our date is month, day. Okay, amount received. He's supposed to pay. I want to do so that we can, when we check debt, we see that this guy is still owing. All right. So maybe we receive, the father was able to pay first installment 180,000. All right. And maybe we receive this by bank transfer or POS. If you came to school and did POS, so you can check, these are different modes of payment. Okay. So we'd like to know that. And the school account that the money was paid into, you need to select that. Okay. Now we can say first installment, first fee installment. Okay. And then we can say, okay, we'll go to the primary account. Now, what we've also done in this system is that you have a way you can define which of the bank is your primary account. So that if you have junior school and senior school, they're supposed to pay money into different accounts. We can direct that in this system. Okay. So, and you will select that. You set that as a primary account. So when you are receiving that, it will select, give you all the account number, account banks that are primary account that's supposed to receive this payment. So that way we can receive payment in different banks. Okay. So we now say receive payment. Once you say receive payment, you see that the detail of payment now is different. Invoice is 215,000. He's been paid 180,000. He's still outstanding balance of 35,000 he's supposed to pay. So that's how simple it is to receive payment. Then let's look at the last module before we expect you to buy the software. Okay, so this is the last one now. You can view people that are paid. You can view and print. For instance, we want to print this payment now. You can pick this for the guy that we just for Kunle. You can print this receipt. This is how the system will generate a receipt for you. Okay, and you pick for Kunle. All right. So this is what he has paid. If he pay another one, there will be another line of statement. Okay, so you can actually print out an invoice. Sorry, a receipt and send to the parent. So it gives you a full statement that this is, you see, this is what is supposed to pay. This is a summary. This is what was received on today, 2nd of March. We received first installment payment for school fee. Okay, fees payment, first installment, 180,000. It came as bank transfer. Okay, and then Sterling Bank. Okay, this money was received into Sterling Bank. All right, and then what he's supposed to pay is 215,000. No discount for him. He paid 180. So the balance he's supposed to pay for this term is 35,000. And the grand total outstanding, if from SS1 it has been owing, this grand total will not be 35. Assuming you owe 100,000, it will become 135. The system keep track of the student's debt from when he entered the school and when they finish. Okay, so you just stamp this and then send to the parents. Okay, so that's how you can print an invoice. All right. And finally, let's look at the generate the debtors list. So you come here and set, select the school year and generate for everyone. Okay, generate for everyone. Outstanding amount was successfully updated. So there's an update that is run now. If I go now, before if I do, I wouldn't see Kunle, but now I've updated, I should be able to see. So when we look at view SS2 now, we see all the payment. Kunle Abraham, 215, he paid 180. His outstanding payment is 35,000. Let me enlarge this so you can see more. Okay. Marianne Mokhtar, 195,000. He paid 100,000. Is still owing the school 95,000. And Usman, for whatever reason, was supposed to pay 70,000. He paid 50,000 the remaining days. So you can see at a glance, and you can even slice this per thing. Okay, we are still in first term, so we are viewing this for first term. So you can pick SS1 first term and look at it, SS2 first term. So 3 people are standing on a standing payment list now. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for going through with us in this system. We've come to the end of this section. Remember, we can install this software for you on the cloud. Okay, we can also install for a school for you. If you subscribe, all that you need to subscribe, we define this software, install it on our cloud for you, and you can use it anywhere in the world. If you want this application, please contact me on this number. And then these are my email. You can email me, or you can get more detail on www.odonigeria.com. Thank you for being with us, and thank you for spending time, to go through this session with us. Thank you so much, and I expect to get a call from you, and I expect to, have a business from you. And I call on all Nigerians. This is a Nigerian-made product. Support our software. The more you support, the more we employ more people. Remember, we're getting a lot of over 20 schools are offering computer science in Nigeria. Where are they going to study? Where are they going to work when they graduate? We have to make sure we grow the software industry in Nigeria and employ more people. The more support we have, and all these young chaps that we employ, some of them are so brilliant, and we send them to other countries that we support software. They also have experience of traveling, stay in a hotel, provide support, and come back to Nigeria. So I call on you, support the local make industry. I call on government, whatever you can do, Ministry of Education, whatever you can do, please, let's support our own. Let's support the local industry, support the local software industry in Nigeria, so that we can, we don't have to export. Every dollar that you spend in buying software from US, from India, from UK, you are paying dollar. You are promoting those economy. You can also promote Nigeria currency and strengthen Nigerian currency. This is one way you can do. I hope to hear from you. Thank you so much.